Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's board meeting, and would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, we don't have any public comment tonight, right, Steph? None? Okay, so first on the dais is Lieutenant Nathan Rinks, who is going to talk to us about our SRO program.
Good evening. Thanks for having me, and thanks for continuing to support the SRO program. I know we've had one. For those who don't know, we've had an officer in the building since 2012 when Officer Mark Parker came in and started the program, and then in I believe, it would have been like early 2017, I think. Kelly Spivey came in and replaced Parker and just did a wonderful job. And then with the referendum that passed, I know there's a lot of talk of referendum. I want to get this out there. When the referendum passed in 2020, that allowed us to expand the program from 1 to 2, and then eventually 3, and then eventually we were able to expand to 4. So we have every building covered with the exception of Hornet Park and South Grove, which is covered by one officer. He splits time between there. But at our 3, say, highest traffic where there's potential for more serious incidents, we have an officer at all times. That's at Central with Officer Jeremy Reese, who's our newest SRO, does a wonderful job there. And then Officer Mark Parker has been at the middle school since around October of 2021, and I have been at the high school since October of 2021. We had to do a couple of swap arounds in the fall, just strategically placing officers in places we thought were better fits for them in 2021. And since then, myself and Parker have been at the high school and the middle school, and the other two have kind of been around. We have made some changes this year in terms of how we report things. Every week now, the officers on Monday send me a report of what they did. It was something we looked at, and I've been trying to do for a while. Finally this year, I was able to get it on my plate, and so now every Monday they're going to report to me any positive interactions, any investigations they do, any police reports that get generated from their building. They're going to send me that police report plus a little synopsis of what happened, and then I have a file dedicated to each officer. So as we go forward looking for grant funding, or if we have you guys want to get information as to what's been going on in the school, I have a pretty good documented case. You know, we're lucky we don't have a lot of incidents that are super serious, but you know, we do, and I figured a little bit better documentation would do that. This fall, I tasked Officer Reese, since he is in Central, to start developing like an anti-vaping class that he can start putting out at Central, and I think we'll maybe do it for like 1 grade at South Grove as well. That's kind of a hinge point, I feel, where we can start working on it. He's going to do a great job. He does a lot of classes and does a lot of classroom work at Central. So as far as the high school goes, we haven't had a lot going on. A few vapes this week. But what's great is with, I know a big thing has been our coverage at the bus barn. That was something that I was lucky enough to help participate in developing the new security protocols there. And I'm very happy with the company we're going with. It was very collaborative. I know Brian, myself, and Rob did a lot of work on that, and I know Brian and Rob did a lot of heavy lifting on that, but I feel like what we're putting together is going to be good. We have a point of contact for all of us, where myself will also get alerted anytime there's a breach there. With that, we are looking into something new. I'm not ready to talk about it. I'll probably put something out to you guys once we get it implemented at the high school. But as with the security, we had an opportunity to look at some other security devices potentially for the high school, and Hoosier Security and Verkada, who is the vendor for the security systems, has been very helpful with us, and there's some things we want to try out, so they're going to allow us to do some free demos of it to see how it works. I'm very, very excited about it because I know the biggest problem, and this is something when you talk to SROs across the country, vaping is just, it's a nightmare right now. It's an absolute nightmare in every school. We are not unique in that it's an issue we deal with, and we certainly, I mean, it's 10 times worse than some other schools, but it's bad. If I ever find the person who developed the vape, I will probably kneecap him. So, but the program is going well. Hopefully we can continue it. I know we have a big decision in November, and I hope I'm thankful to the work you guys have been doing to push out the referendum, because it will, I'm sure, impact the SRO program. So we're very hopeful that funding continues, because it's important. We do a lot of work. My guys, I know when I just read over their sheets, they do a lot of mentoring. I mean, that's 80% of what we do is mentoring and working with the kids. And being at the end point, I really get to see the kids coming in from the high school, the impact that Parker and Reese have, because I mean the kids just love Reese, and the ones that have now had him at Central and now have filtered into the high school, they talk about him a lot. And sometimes if I have to go to training or I'm off that day, Reese often will come over. Anytime we have an SRO missing, the high school always has to be covered. So if I'm not here, Reese usually comes over, and usually the first thing I hear when I get back is, well, Reese isn't here today? When is Reese coming back? And I'm like, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. So we're doing a lot of work with that. The training's been good. We go to the SRO conference every summer, where we get to kind of collaborate with SROs from around the state, see what they're doing, how we can make adjustments. The great thing is the three guys I work with are very communicative. Sorry, tired. And we try to work on problems together, especially throughout the district. This has been a good start to the year. I think we're starting to get a little bit busier. All of my officers have been a little bit busier the last 2 days, unfortunately. But we worked very well. We had an incident yesterday, and we needed some video from a bus, and the staff at the bus barn, I mean, they had it to us within 5-10 minutes, and we were able to identify the students that we needed to speak to. So it's a very group effort in keeping the school safe, and we need all of those parts working together. And right now, I'm very happy to say we have everybody working together very well. Rob Chalice coming in has been good. He's been very busy, but he's trying to help provide us more resources and get us what we need. So it has been good so far. There's just not a lot to report so far this year. Last year was a great year. I don't think we did have one arrest. I apologize. We had one arrest at the middle school. Other than that, we didn't have any arrests at the high school. And for me, that's a win. I always tell our guys, our goal is, I don't want to make any arrests. If everything can be handled administratively in a school level, like that is our job. Now, oftentimes there are things that are out of our control, and we do take those appropriate measures when we have to. But our goal is always to be able to never have an incident get to the point where we have to make a criminal arrest. And so far, we're pretty good at doing that. A lot of the school districts around us are not so lucky. Perry, I know, gets very busy with arrests. Franklin Township, IPS schools, for sure. So, does anybody have any questions about this? Yeah. Sorry, you had it first.
Right away.
Yeah.
So, still learning all new positions.
Uh-huh.
How would you explain to a parent what resources SROs offer to our schools, and what would you say is the difference between yourself and like the principal, assistant principal? Like, what is that distinction between the two roles specifically?
So the distinction between us and admin is right out of the gate. We are not admin. We are not involved in the disciplinary side, we are not involved in anything having to do with what kind of a punishment is. Now, there are incidents that occur where we collaborate and work together to figure it out, especially if it has anything to do with like narcotics, vaping, fights. We always help out with to try to look at the videos to see how it started, who did what. Is this just a fight, or is there a criminal element to it? To best explain how we are, we're basically police officers whose primary role in a building is more of like a resource as like almost like a homeschool advisor. If we're doing our job, and I think our guys do a very good job, we need to get to know the students well, learn about them, build good relationships, because oftentimes when they're having issues in the building, it's due to issues outside the building, and we work hard to try to help be an extra point of contact. Like when I speak to parents, I always ask, when we have issues and parents come in, if there's something where there's a mental health aspect to it, we always try to help them, like, okay, so what are you doing outside of school to help, and what can we do to help? And oftentimes a lot of these parents don't know where to start when they have a kid that's having some behavioral problems, or they're having some mental health or depression issues. And those are things that in our job, we know a lot about that. So we will help advocate, like, hey, here's some numbers to call. Maybe call and see if you can get an assessment, things like that. If they're substance abuse, we'll help try to push them in directions of where maybe they can go to get them treatment. So a lot of it is, I say our primary focus is the mentoring, the being a good counselor to them. We counsel often. I mean, that's 80% at least of what we do. And then the 20% is making sure security protocols are going right. Right now, we do have a problem. I'd say with every building, there's still an issue where doors get left open from time to time. Not often, but we have a couple officers on day shift that, as part of their routine patrol, they just go around and look for doors open, and then they report it to me, and then I report it to that building officer. We go over all of our security protocols, our safety plans at every building. We are involved with those planning and the development, and then it's just the other 20% is we're there in case our worst nightmare happens, and hopefully we're there and we're able to eliminate that issue before any student or staff are harmed. So that is our overarching goal, but it's like it's like having a guard dog at your house. The dog is at home, probably laying on the couch with you, loving you. That's your buddy. We love our guard dogs, but if a window breaks, you also want your guard dog to be up off that couch, ready to protect you. And that's kind of, I would say, a kind of a weird way to describe it. I would say that's how it best describes. Like, we're here.
The biggest deterrent is their presence in a real critical situation.
No, I appreciate that explanation. Thank you very much.
That's why we keep marked cars, and we have some officers on the road that have unmarked cars. I would refuse them an unmarked car at all times. I think the best deterrent is at our buildings having a visible marked car to let anyone know coming that there is a police officer in this building.
Do you ever send your officers around to different schools so that they can spend the day with other aged students to get to know them as well?
We haven't. I tend to go when I can, when we're not busy at the high school. I'll tend to pop in at all the schools and check on my officers and try to touch base with principals, like, hey, how's everything going? Is there anything you need, anything you want? But I'm more just, I'm always worried if you've got Reese, going to school buildings where Hartman's already there. Is it leaving Central uncovered while, you know, it's happening, and so I don't. It's something we can look into. That's something that the school board is interested in, is having us rotate around. It's something we can sit down and look at and see what it looked like. I'm not opposed to it.
I wouldn't think that a school would be, like, you could take the you and then somebody else and switch, instead of just taking them over here, just so they
Yeah.
can see the kids. And then, do you guys have staff meetings?
We have a text, we meet before school starts, and usually if there's a day where kids are out and we're still working, you know, if it's a holiday but we're working, or it's a teacher, you know, a work from what do we call it, virtual day, we usually meet there. But we have a group chat, we communicate almost daily on it. I send out, when I have information for them, I send it out. If there's information for a specific officer, I'll usually go over there and meet with them, but we're in constant communication throughout the school day.
How often do you guys have training?
Training for us is often. So when we go to the SRO conference, that is 3 days of classes that are all school resource and school-based policing directed. For us, we firearm shoot a lot with the department, and we did, the first week we were back, we all went and did a 4-hour block of firearms with one of our instructors, just doing like moving and shooting and like threat, no threat shooting, since that's a likely scenario that all of us would be faced with. It was, you know, if something happens in a school, you're going to have to find the threat, and there's also going to be a lot of kids and staff that might be around. So it was important to me to do that this year. We do vehicle training every year, mandatorily, and I mean, I would say most of my officers on the road and in the SRO program, we're looking at, on a yearly basis, close to 100 hours a year of training.
I only have one more question,
Sure.
and then I'll shut up. Do you guys ever do like training with the students at all on any certain subjects?
So I work with the students. The forensics class brings me in every semester, and we talk about crime scenes, and they ask me a lot about crime scenes.
Sure.
And so I have to give them like the very PG versions, but they ask me a lot. It's great. The kids ask a lot of questions, and I know Parker does a lot of training. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you what he does at the middle school, but he does work with their students with some training base. And I know Reese has done some classroom work with the kids at Central, and Parker or Hartman does a lot. Like, we'll sit in and talk to classes. So yeah, we have various ones. They all have kind of their own things that they've developed that's building specific. I know, I think last year, myself and Rowcliffe kind of did a little pre-prom video we sent out
Oh, that's
about
nice.
you know, making good decisions.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So we're having fun.
I'm done.
No, it's a good question, but yeah, we do a lot, and like I said, at some point this year, Reese will have his vaping class online, and he'll be putting that out to the students.
I just had to kind of tag on to what you said earlier. You do a lot of mentoring, and you said like the main incidents or ones that you had mentioned had been on the bus and like with vaping. Are those typical things that you deal with, or are there another group of issues that usually happen that you guys have to take care of?
Issues that we deal with vaping is probably number one for myself and Mark Parker. And I could bring in an SRO from probably any department in the state, and they will tell you that vaping is an absolute nightmare. You know, we assist with fights too. I think Parker gets probably more fights than anyone. It's probably the middle school is probably where we have the most fights. We're very lucky at the high school, and again, I'm gonna knock on wood because I don't want to jinx us. But I mean, when I talk to some of our SROs at like Perry Township schools, Decatur Township schools, places like that, they're having fights at their high schools like almost daily. And I remember a couple of years ago, we had a fight like the day before we got off on Christmas break, and then I don't think we had another one until March. I mean, we will go, we'll go weeks upon weeks without a fight. And that's a testament to our administrative staff has always been, you're out in the hallways. Myself is out there, and when you're building relationships with these kids, like we do, they'll tell you. Well, a lot of these kids will come tell you, like, hey, you know, this person and this person are beefing, and I think there's going to be a fight, and we will pull them in and try to get to the bottom of it before it happens. So we have, with our buildings not being very big and our numbers not being very big, we have a really good opportunity where we can be proactive in trying to keep the fights from happening instead of being reactive. And oftentimes in a lot of these other districts, they don't have that opportunity. So a lot of it's just you're waiting for the fight to happen, and then you're just hoping you can break it up before it grows or before someone gets seriously hurt.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I would add real quick too, that the Secured School Safety Grant, so that was completed, the application was done in June. We should hear, I think, within the next 2 or 3 weeks, if we get that again. That's a big part of the funding of our SROs, but that whole grant is based on really, developing relationships with students. So Nathan mentioned the educational piece of that is part of the requirement of the grant. The recording of positive interactions with students is part of that. I mean, they really want, the officers to become part of the school community, and students see them as a resource and a friend, somebody that they can rely on and count on, rather than a law enforcement person that stands there. So it's really the grant really lends itself to what they do every day, which is, they have great relationships with the kids in all the buildings, I think. It's really a positive.
It's very important to us. I mean, I love it when I talk to kids who said, I loved Officer Parker. I loved Officer Reese. I loved Marvin. And, I live in a community with some parents that say, oh, that's so great. Marvin's out in front of Horn Park and South Road every day. He works with our crossing guards, which is another thing I forgot. We struggled with our crossing guards last few years to be able to get all of them filled. This year we are at full, all the assignments are there, and we were lucky enough to have 2 people that signed up and are working for us now that are just fill-ins. So most of the time when we have a crossing guard that is not there, they have their own group chat now. And they'll say, hey, can someone work 10th and Main, and then we're having that balance. That helps a lot. But yeah, I think we try to be visible out there. You're going to see Hartman every day out there. You see Reese every day out in front of Central and pick up and drop off. Some parents are very friendly, but we always deal with that. That's probably another one thing we probably do a lot is just parents getting very angry and impatient. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about Central and South Road. They're just tough spots. Hornet Park has a really good system. It flows pretty well. I know you caught a lot of complaints about the high school's parking last year. However, myself and Trent, we went out there and we changed it 4 or 5 different ways. And I'll be honest with you, every single way I did it, the parking lot's empty by in 8 minutes. So this year we just kind of let them do it. And we took the orange barricades that were always in front of the high school away. So let's give that a try and see how it goes. And it's been, 2 lines line up. Every once in a while somebody else sneak through and get to the front. But don't see a lot of problems. That's traffic in all our buildings are always a concern. But we just do the best we can. But where the middle school's at, where Central's at, where South Road's at, there's only so much we can do to make that traffic pattern better. It just is what it is, especially Central. It's just not enough of a footprint to really make a really good flowing traffic. So I think Andy Carr has reconfigured it since he came over there, and I think it's working a lot better, but it's only going to get to
I know I know what you're gonna tell me, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. So, when I was participating in substitute teaching, I worked in the car rider lane. And many days you would let a child out of the car and the smoke would reek out of the car. The child would probably be high as they're getting out. And there's nothing you can do about that, is there, unless you can see them actually smoking?
If we see it, they'll take enforcement action, but it's a balance of, if I stop someone in Central's car right line because I smell something coming, or they're using a nicotine vape or smoking a cigarette in the car, and we are a smoke-free campus, you have to be cognizant of, if I do something about this right here and now, what does that, I can, but then what does that do with the rest of the flow? Like, so for me to like stop and say, hey, you're gonna have to deal with this right now, and then all of a sudden that's going to grind the entire process to a halt. So it's a balance. It's there's some things you have to go, okay, if I do this now, is the benefit, does the benefit outweigh what it's going to do to the flow of the school at that time? Now, if we see them on campus, obviously we do something about it, and it is unfortunate. We have a lot of parents that don't seem to worry about their children's lungs.
Yeah,
when they're driving cars,
it's
but-
bad. Okay. I kind of knew the answer, but that's okay. You're not here right now, Rob. We're talking to Nathan.
What we do, if anybody cusses at our staff, or gets belligerent with our staff or our officers, we cycle back. Brian and I would usually give them a warrant, depending on how bad it is. Last year, of course, we had one that used racially charged language.
Oh, dear.
towards Officer Reese, and that was an automatic trespass. But typically, if any of my officers report, or any staff reports that when we're pick up, drop offs, and an extracurricular activity, if they're using abusive language towards the staff, you have 0 tolerance for that. And I will call you one back, and I will tell you, this is your first final warning. If this happens again, you are going to be gone at least for this semester, possibly for the entire. And I always make it clear to them too, that includes after school. So if you like to see your child participate in their sport, you do not want to do this again. I will trespass. We will make sure everybody knows that we're working with them. We've had it. We had to file trespassing charges last year on a parent who didn't get it after we had moved them on campus. So I filed charges on them.
Now, since we're I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna, does that apply to sporting events? And there's usually officers at most of the events.
They stop by. At the high school events, there's usually officers. At the lower ones, there's not. We don't really have problems with it. We do. Mike Shanahan or whoever's working there will get a hold of me, and I'll get officers that are working the road over there pretty quick. And the response is pretty fast.
Yeah.
Most of our people shifters, that's when it's going on there. They get their fast.
Now, since we are a no smoking campus, if you see them smoking, do you say something? Do you take down their license plate number and call them later?
I'll say something. And
Okay.
usually if it gets reported like, hey, this guy's got smoke rolling, this is late, we call it, hey, reminder, the no smoking on campus extends to your car in front of you.
Okay. Okay.
So isn't it illegal to smoke anything in a car with a lighter down?
I don't think
That'd be
so.
great.
I thought that's a law.
Unfortunately, I don't think so,
Be a good
but that was part
wish
of
it
why
was.
we had implemented no pass outs at our high school events, because we had halftime at a football game, and you'd have 40 parents go out there and stand in their parking lot. So there was a safety aspect to not having people go out, especially after we stopped the metal detectors, but it also like an added bonus of not letting them go back out. 30, 40 parents stand out there, and we get it reported, at least a couple of games, we'll get it reported where a parent will come, hey,
or we have to do more than, the normal warning, when do we get notified that that takes place? Is it on do you group them and then present them to us in a certain period of time?
No,
Do we know what
no.
day of?
No.
Dr.
don't get
Hammond is
notified.
pretty good about determining what
I
you
can talk
guys
to you
need
more.
to know.
Yeah.
And usually, I would say, like stuff that happened yesterday and stuff that Hartman dealt with today, it's not anything, it's stuff, simple stuff. I'm sure you guys are notified about the Little Weekend, stuff like that you get notified on. If something like that were to happen on our campus during school hours, 100% you're gonna notify, because on any incident like that, we have a really good debrief team. So any major incident that we have in our district, at least for as long as I've been here, and I was before I was here, we debrief. It's usually myself, Dr. Hammock, Rob, we do those debriefs now, because last year it was Chad Mann, and before that it was Tom Gerhardt. Brian, I think, usually comes to those, and then whoever else involved, like if there was a building principal or something like that, and then we discuss the whole incident, top to bottom. We discuss the school's response, the SRO's response, and from there, we're constantly, when we have major incidents, refining how we respond. Which now, at this point, there's not a lot of refining. We have a pretty good system in place, and usually, when we have these debriefs, it's like, okay, that actually went exactly how, our response was exactly how we planned the response to be. And now often, we still will find, I think just not everything, we find one or two things to tweak, but we're luckily, with the way we all communicate, the way we work together, we're not at a point where usually something happens, like we have to reassess everything. We're well beyond that right now.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank
guys
you.
get done at 7, we're having our black and orange flag football game.
Are you doing it
Stay
tonight?
dry.
We are.
Oh, my goodness. Let there not be a storm.
Yeah, let there not be a
We're doing it.
Maybe.
4 scrimmage games on Friday, and our season starts the next day.
I'm so excited.
Good luck.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
You.
Hey Nathan, it was good to see you.
I didn't hear you.
Bye.
You guys are like two ships probably passing in the night.
Brian, personnel and operations?
Just a couple things from the personnel side. We have new teacher orientation on July 23rd. 20 new teachers attended that. We welcomed 21 new teachers to the corporation, but one was involved in Project Lead the Way training. So that's training for a STEM-related course here at the high school. So, but that day was great. The morning is devoted solely to the corporation. So a lot of human resources stuff, onboarding from the district level, and then the afternoon they spend at the building level, and orientation then takes place there. In whatever that whatever the principal wants that to look like. Typically, it involves the instructional leaders and any other kind of information that they need to be successful at the building level. Principals did a great job this year. That's 21 new teachers is higher than what we've had in the last 3 years. We had been on kind of a nice trend of really not a lot of turnover, but this year we just experienced some, and that's going to happen. So really pleased with the group that we had, and the principals did a fantastic job of recruiting and hiring what I think are really highly qualified teachers this year.
Did that save us some money in our budget
Yeah, I
this
mean,
year?
it does. I haven't really taken a look at exact numbers, but, typically it does, because the majority of those folks that we hired were fresh out of college, so they were bachelor zero.
Sure.
Now, we did have a few that were higher on the pay scale this year, but most of that is due to just the pool is just not real deep. It's not real big for teaching. So when you have some high need areas, you're struggling, and so sometimes you have to do that to be able to get the teacher that you want, that you know is really high quality. So yes, we did have some, particularly special ed, But Dr. Hammock always is the final authority on that, and she always, we kind of work together, but she will make the call on whether or not it's something we've got that we think we can do, or do we want to keep searching, and see if we maybe would attract another candidate somewhere that, but you kind of know that when it's been posted for a while and this is the pool, that you better jump on a candidate or you might find yourself without one. So, some school safety things. We were chosen by Department of Homeland Security for an audit of the school safety plan at Hornet Park. So Rob's been very much involved in that with Rob Adamson. That takes place this Friday. So our plan was submitted, and they will review that, and then they'll come to the building. And just like, if you recall, last year they did the safety audits at each of our buildings, they'll give us feedback on parts of the plan that maybe they feel are a little deficient, or some suggestions on how that can be improved, and that'll be on Friday.
Question, is that complicated because the building is shared with the community center? Is there
No, it's really completely separate. That part of the building, I know it seems odd, but our safety plan is exclusively for our students, our staff in Hornet Park Elementary and the Early Childhood Center.
So they don't have to look at the community center?
No, they don't.
Okay.
I can't say that they don't do that separately, but this audit has nothing to do with the community center.
Thank you.
I know I didn't have this on here, but we are, Rob's been working tirelessly on our transportation lot improvements. And so he's hanging his head because we have a temporary thing in place right now, but I know he's been getting a lot of these notifications. We still have an officer that's over there, and the presence is there, but I would echo what Nathan said, that I'm really pleased with Hoosier Security, the company that we went with. I'm glad that we took our time and went through the process. We interviewed we had 6 different proposals. We interviewed 3, and I think it's going to be a really, really state-of-the-art, great system that we're going to have in place that will provide us with 24/7 monitoring of that lot. And that Verkada system is, if you talk to anybody, is kind of the Cadillac of systems. So really pleased with that. Food service, just a reminder again that our contract with Chartwell's expires at the end of this school year. So I'll start that process probably in November to start looking at the RFP process, get started on it early, and we'll work with Indigo again. Nicole Kenny is great. She was the procurement officer for the state for a long time, and she knows all of the legalities of that. So I help her build the RFP, and then her platform is just a great platform to make sure that we are complying with everything we need to comply with statutorily in that process. So that will be going on this year, and we're very pleased with Chartwell's, but we also legally have to go through that process, and obviously we have to consider all the proposals that we get. From a facilities grounds maintenance, just a couple things. The chiller at Hornet Park Elementary School is in need of replacement. We continue to have those needs, and it was really expensive. But the low bid was $43,000, but we have to obviously cool our buildings and make sure that those learning environments are, what they need to be for students to be able to, and teachers to work in.
Did we not get any new system when we remodeled the building?
That system, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that system stayed because it was aging and needed to be replaced. So my guess is that no, it was not.
Because I know the heating got changed, because
Yeah,
that was in.
We did do some work on the boilers, yeah. But the AC unit was, I think, retained from what was there from before. Laura might know more.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, it was, okay.
So that was one. We also had one at the middle school that we just discovered is in need of some repair too. So trying to be proactive about that. If you recall last year at the middle school, we had an issue at this time of year with one of the HVAC systems, and it created a lot of problems because it was working at about 50% capacity. Well, that created an enormous problem with humidity in the building, which then you get mold and all kinds of other things. So trying to be really proactive and not let that happen. We know it's a problem, and we're going to be proactive and get that fixed. The next thing I had there was about the system that we're putting in over here at the transportation lot, and kind of what the annual cost of that is, the upfront cost and then the annual fee. And then we're doing some work at South Grove. That building is old and in need of some attention, so a lot of the water fountains there are extremely old. We had replaced those over time, some of them, but we're going to get the rest of those replaced. Some carpet issues that we have, we want to get resolved, and then just some painting that'll happen over fall break. If you've been in the building, doors, door jams, they're just, over time, they begin to paint flakes off, and we want to make sure that we are being proactive as much as possible with maintenance, instead of deferring things, and then all of a sudden collectively we have so much maintenance that needs to be done that it becomes a huge price tag for that. So kind of chipping away at some of those things at South Grove that need to be addressed.
Thank you
And
for
we're
doing that.
now.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. And then I guess that last thing would just be requesting that the board approve the submitted personnel report from July 10th of 26 to August 6th of 2026.
Anybody have any questions? Could we get a motion to approve the employment recommendations? Oh, Madison? Well, second, please.
I'll second.
Tara, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Dr. Hammond.
Great. Well, we went through our process of creating several options for the 27-28 school calendar. The calendar is required as a discussable item. The Beech Grove CTA is supportive of the process and are supportive of this calendar. So kind of an overwhelming selection for the particular calendar that we offer to you all. Would just ask for your approval of the same, and then we have planned that we will release this updated calendar to our families tomorrow so that folks can start to plan for next school year. So we'll just ask for your approval of the 27-28 school calendar.
Is it kind of the same as this year?
Very, very similar.
I noticed the days were the same starting, but I thought, I don't know the difference.
Yeah, very similar. Nothing substantial has changed. 2-week fall break, 2-week winter break, 2-week spring break, very much mirroring this calendar. Yeah, and we're out before Memorial Day, so
Everybody's happy.
everybody's happy. This
There
one
you
fell
go.
together pretty well.
Could we get a motion to approve the calendar?
I'll move to approve the calendar.
We'll say Tara and Jill, okay?
Oh, okay, that's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I do have a question now that we've approved the calendar.
Yeah.
In years prior to this year, on the website, there was a nice one-page calendar that had all this information, principals' names, and the phone numbers, and the dismissal times.
Yes.
That all printed out nicely on one page.
Yeah.
It is not there anymore.
Okay.
Could we get that back, please?
Yeah, because we have that. We have.
There's something close to it on there, but it doesn't fit all on one page, and it's dark.
I'll email it to you individually, but we'll get it on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it was so great. We could print that off and stick it up there and
Absolutely.
see everything. It looks
Sure.
great. You know, it's on a dark background, and sometimes there's some visual
Okay.
issues with those things, but it was nice having just something like this all in one spot with everything. Because
Sure.
I had to print it off and then cut it and tape it, and then I tried to like cut it all out in a snipping tool and shrink it down, and it just didn't work great.
We could
Thank
do an
you.
image and then we could put up the PDF so that that is just an easily downloadable.
Sure.
Perfect.
On
Okay.
the odd occasion that Brian Downard has to pick up his kids from school, I have to go refer to what the drop-off times are on the
Sure.
calendar. They are missing on the later versions of them. I don't know if it's just out of the room or what, but the calendar's there. It's just that it used to have.
Yeah, I had to
box that
walk
said-
right on the
Yeah,
dot,
I know.
the
Yeah, I have it made out, it's ready to go.
Okay.
We'll just get it in a spot that's a little bit more easily, because clearly, if you guys can't find it, then, you know, we just have to put it in a better place.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
The next is, as required by statute, the approval of any revision or any newly proposed curricular materials specific to the I Decide for Me education program. There's been a revision to its 8th grade curricular materials. I shared that with the board in advance, and we just need that action to be formally approved.
Anybody have any questions about that? Can we get a motion to approve it then, please?
I move we approve the revised eighth grade curriculum.
Jill? April? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And then with many thanks, Brian, Ms. Brian Downer, we absolutely offered to you all an incorrect edit of the policy 5540 in your packet last time. That has now been resolved. So tonight, just the approval of the specific policy 5540, the school's law and enforcement agencies.
Can I get a motion to get an approval for that revised policy?
I'll make said motion.
Brian?
Junior Madison.
Sorry, I'll second.
Oh, I can't hear her. Madison?
Sorry.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Could we get a motion to approve the minutes and the claims together?
I have one question about the claims. If
Okay.
there's a negative on some of these, is that just a refund or what, so there's like three
A credit.
instances where there was
I would assume it's a
negative
Is
credit.
that
value?
Amazon?
No, one was Marriott, one was French Lick Resort, the other one was like, I think, like Jimmy John's or something, it was like a food thing?
Yeah, so the French Lick was a refund, and then they would bill. So it comes in individually on the credit card statement, so you're gonna see every refund and then every charge. So,
Okay. It'll just.
I don't
show
really know
up
what the
later.
Jimmy John's one was, but I knew what the other two were for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it just individually comes in.
I just didn't quite understand, like, how are we getting money from these places?
Oh,
Yeah.
you returned the sandwich.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Yeah, all right, thank you very much.
Can I get a motion for this, please?
I'll make said motion.
Tara?
I'll second.
Jill? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we want to do fundraisers and donations together as well? For fundraisers, I wanted to thank HES Facilities for the $3,000 for the middle school for signage athletic upgrades and $5,000 to our robotics program, which is so nice. And then donations and fundraisers, we had a ton. Everybody's selling candy this year. Who would like to make a motion for those?
I'll make a motion.
Madison? I need a second, please.
I'll second.
April, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Committee and community reports. Brian, C9?
Yeah, so it's not much to report. We have our meeting in 2 days for August, but last month rounded out a audit by the State Board of Accounts where they didn't really find anything new. They found the same things they found last time with the adult education funds, showing that there's unpaid accounts that have to be resolved. So we're dwindling down on that. There's a plan in place. It'll take about a decade to get out of the hole that was dug, but it's currently working out. And there's also a Meet the Teacher Night that's coming up on Thursday for any families that are interested. And I think it's 5 to 7. It happens at the same time as our board meeting, so I think we might like step out for a minute and walk around to see what's going on. Last time there was an event, it was impossible to find parking, which is great because there's so much engagement. But great opportunity for new families for C9 to meet teachers and even existing ones. And then there was a diesel instructor that I think that was onboarding and fell through, and I haven't heard the outcome of that yet. We were supposed to hear yesterday whether or not they found someone, and I guess I'll just find out Thursday whether or not they're able to continue with the program this year. So, yeah.
It's such a great program.
Yeah, and I'm hoping there's a way forward. I think they had a couple of prospective teachers that were in the interview process, but obviously too late to be very successful, so I think that's it for me on my update.
Thank you. Tara, how about the park?
I don't think I have anything new to report. We have our monthly meeting tomorrow, and there is one more concert left in the summer concert series, and that will be a week from this Thursday. Yes, very fast.
And we got a whopping $16 donated at the last concert, so if anybody wants to give me money the next time, we can really use it. How about the Education Foundation?
A couple things.
we got 2 new members.
That's nice.
It was Kathy Keller and Jake Tapp.
Oh,
So, let's see what else. They decided to start awarding the scholarships in the summer now instead of waiting until the winter break, so that kids can actually use it for stuff they need before school, like computers and textbooks.
That's great.
And then the big thing that Dr. Hammond shared with you guys is that June Wolf Estate left a $10,000 donation for them to use however they see fit. So they are going to match our donations up to $10,000.
which is awesome. Now, isn't the Education Foundation also looking at giving scholarships for kids going for the trades and not just necessarily a 4-year college, which is really cool? And I think the Alumni Association is talking about that as well. So I think that is great.
Absolutely. We had several organizations this year through the Education Foundation give specific scholarships just for the trades. The Chamber was one of them. There are several. I want to say there are 4 or 5 funds that are set up for that
Which is
purpose.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
it's wonderful.
For the Alumni
And military.
Association. Yeah, yes, and the military,
Yep.
we talked about that too. For the Alumni Association, they do know about our Veterans Memorial.
Great.
Dedication. I know several are planning to attend on the 21st of this month.
Wonderful.
So we're looking forward to that. Otherwise, it was a very quiet meeting. A lot of people weren't there, so I'll remind them again at the meeting. Anybody else have anything before we begin?
I have one more thing. I attended the ribbon cutting at the new plumbing school. Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
It
didn't
was
even know
yesterday.
about it.
It was.
I'm not even
yesterday.
sure where I saw it, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that I was really impressed with the organization that is housed there, and that this is a dream come true for them.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see how many of just our students, and let alone anybody else that gets their masters their trade there. It's
Yeah.
it's an incredible place, and the people seem really excited to get started. So I think that's going to be great for our students.
Did you get to go inside? Was
Yeah.
it really nice?
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm sure I'm not going to say this correctly, but you could see like different plumbing situations set up, and then it would be like the actual pipes and everything right behind like plexiglass, so you can see what happens when you
Yep.
flush the toilet and such. Good to know.
That's
Good to
amazing.
Or
know.
when you can't.
Yes, good to know.
It
So
felt
it
like
was
it felt like a college campus.
it was very cool.
Really?
Very
Gorgeous.
cool. They were very passionate.
Gorgeous.
That's
Nice people.
wonderful.
Wonderful.
It was fun.
Thanks for being here.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make said motion.
Tara? I need a second.
I'll second.
April, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, everybody, good night.
Good night. It's already dark out, so it's time to go to bed.